Gonna call the regular meeting of the Jefferson School Committee to order, May 13th, 2025. Roll call, Andy Bernier. Myself, Wayne.
Here.
Maria.
Here.
Daryl.
Yo.
Administrator attendance, Janet.
Here.
Laura is not here. Todd is here. Peter is not here. We all still stand for pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, God.
You little whack.
Oh.
They need wheels. We have one little adjustment to the agenda. We are taking off one of the executive sessions later on in the meeting, so we'll only have one tonight instead of two. And then I believe we have public comment. I think somebody signed up, so it is your turn.
Okay, so my name's Claire. I live in South Jefferson, Claire Summer. And I was at the April meeting when the school committee voted on the Title IX reversion to go back to an earlier version of Title IX. And my simple question was, I was just curious about the changes, and I'm wondering where I could see the changes.
Yep, we're actually going to talk about that later on, just a little bit. So
Yeah, they're very, you're going to have to look hard to find them. They're very
Okay,
minimal.
yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's a couple definitions.
Thank you.
Yep. And what you want me to chime in on that
Yep.
right now? You should have all received electronic copies of those. I hope you did. If you didn't, this is really first read. My recommendation originally, as was just stated, was to go back to your previous ones. The issue we've run into is we can't find some of the previous ones. I think they may have been typed over when they were changed in 2022. So my recommendation tonight is that you look at the Drummond with some sample policies, and my suggestion would be that we go with those sample policies that they've shared, which should be very similar to what your previous ones were. But it's just a first read tonight, so you can we can discuss it and then move forward as the board would like.
all right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, moving on. Action on minutes. Motion to approve minutes from the meeting on April 8th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? It's 5, Janet. Motion to approve the minutes from the budget meeting on April 30th.
So moved.
All in favor? 5 again. Peter is not here tonight. Todd's going to take over for his finance report.
You've got you got it in your packet. Yeah, he's giving you the projected, and I think I included the articles because I think Wayne, you'd asked, reached out with Peter for the articles. So what you have is your end of the year projection, your draft budget for Tuesday night's meeting, and your what was the other one? Oh, the articles themselves.
Yep.
So that's the information that's there. If you have any questions about it, and I can't answer it on the spot here, I certainly will get an answer and get back to you. I don't expect Peter in until Thursday.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the budget that they want to put forward?
And you may have you've seen them because I know you got them
Yeah.
ahead of everyone else.
Yeah,
So I don't
no,
know if you have.
they all looked accurate. to
Yep.
me.
Okay. So look them over. If you
Okay.
have any questions, just reach out to me.
Yeah, I took a quick peek. But, so next on the agenda, communications, correspondence, nominations. I'm going to pass that off to Janet.
All right, you have on your agenda the list of first-year probationary contract teachers to be nominated and approved for second-year probationary contract. Thorsten Zimmerman, grade 6-8 science teacher. Mary Alice McCain, 60% general music teacher. And Kara Paul, grades 3-5 resource room special education teacher. Moving from secondary probationary teacher to continuing contract, Caitlin Morrissey, grade 4. Shania Beveridge, grade 1, and Colleen O'Donnell, school counselor. And renewal for school year 25-26 for technology director Chase Maciot.
You can take those as a whole group if you want.
I'd make a motion on the first batch, first year probationary contract to second year probationary contract for those three listed.
All in favor? It's 5, Janet.
Yep, got it. I just cut and pasted the previous one.
On the second probationary teacher to continuing contract, I'm not sure about if we extend it to the school counselor, if that grant money runs out,
Yeah, if the grant money runs out, the position wouldn't be
we
funded.
wouldn't be locked
We wouldn't be
into
locked
that.
into it. And what we've been told on that one, Peter, that's when Peter was talking about that.
Yes.
We're gonna, the way that we are gonna expend the money, we could get through next year, even if the grant goes away, because it wouldn't go away till December.
Okay,
So we're gonna have enough to run that
Okay.
position through the year, regardless of what happens with
all right.
with
I
the
just
grants.
wanted to make
Yep,
sure we
yep.
didn't get into a
Nope.
bind with that. In that case, then I would make a motion to accept all three of those.
All in favor?
And I'll make a motion on the renewing the fiscal year 25-26 for Chase.
And all in favor? 5 across the board.
Yep.
John, you didn't have a facilities report this month, or do you?
Only to say that we have actually hired a bus driver.
I saw that today. Yep. An experienced one. One
Wait
with a lot of
minute.
experience.
28 years of experience.
Yeah.
She has started, she's learning the routes now.
Nice.
Driving with 2 of our drivers.
Who is it?
So the next year.
I just signed that today. I just,
Green Hicks.
yeah,
Yes.
just signed it this morning.
Cool. Very good.
For Sierra Bus Transportation for 25.
Nope, very good.
It's good to hear a hire over here.
And so what, are we gonna just run 3? Are we gonna try to run 4 for the rest of the year, or?
Probably 3 for the rest of the year, and then next year, we can look at either running 4 or staying with 3.
Yeah, okay.
Nice, very good. My chair's report, the next regular, oh,
Come on.
sorry.
Are we actively trying to find a 4th bus driver? We still have a posting for a 4th bus driver. Okay, that's, all right, very good.
We have an applicant for, an internal applicant for head custodian. We'll be interviewing them hopefully.
Okay,
Oh, good.
very good.
Moving on. The next regular meeting of the school board will be June 10th, 2025, right here at 6 o'clock. The next meeting of the AOS board is scheduled right now for June 4th. That's at central office if it's necessary. And then Wayne, do you have an update on the last AOS?
We had a fairly quick meeting where we hired a new director of special services, which is Nick DePatsy. Dominic DePatsy. Right, the stars is Nick, I guess, that's why I get confused. And he has a plethora of experience
Oh, good.
in that department as well as being a superintendent.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah, it's gonna be great.
Very good.
Looking forward to it.
And Todd, your report?
Yep, quickly, I shared with, I think I mentioned at previous meetings that I was going to attend a couple career fairs at local colleges. So I did. On April 11th, I was up at Orono for their career fair. And then on April 18th, I was at USM. I think USM realized that having a career fair on the Friday before Easter weekend, long weekend, is
Right.
not the best time to get seniors and interact with people. So they're going to change the date. And actually, I got one applicant, I think, or one resume from that one. I got about a dozen from UMO. And as I've said before, it's really, we have to go out and recruit now. Because the days of, getting 20 applicants for any open position are gone. So we're really actively out there trying to find educators that we can get to come and not only get them here, but retain them here. So that's our charge right now. As was just mentioned, we did special education director interviews on April 16th. Dominic DePatsy is the gentleman going forward to, and as Wayne said, he does come with a vast amount of experience and connections outside of this area, which is good too, because obviously the special ed department, as Jefferson knows better than any other of the schools in the district, special ed drives your budgets right now. I mean, it is a driving factor for the budget increases. So we really have to find ways that we can either get our tuition students back, because that's where you're going to save your biggest bang. But you can't just bring them back unless you have programs that can satisfy their needs. So getting quality staff in. And then obviously we're going to talk about regionalized programs again, because I've got 2 vacancies over in Noblesboro. I got 3 here for special ed teachers. That's a lot of vacancies in a very small geographical area to fill. So we're going to have to think outside the box for that. But I'm looking forward to him joining us. April 17th, I had the Mid-Coast Superintendents Association meeting. That's one that Lindsay and I go to. We're part of the Mid-Coast Association, obviously, so we meet once a month with that group. Participate in the commissioner's webinar on federal funds on April 17th as well. And because a lot of the concern, a lot of questions we're getting are what's going to happen to our federal funds? Are we going to lose our federal funding and things of that nature? The information we're getting from Augusta and from the Commissioner of Education is that we really, it's a wait and see. But what they're telling us, and it's what we've been told right now, is that if there is any loss of any kind of funding, it would not be next year. It would be a year or so down the road. And in particular, the big debate that's going on with the MPA, with interscholastic sports. The one thing we have to remember is the MPA does not govern any middle level athletics. So there's nothing that we would lose with that debate that's going on between Augusta and the White House as far as allowing transgender athletes to participate. And Maine gets very little money from the MPA for MPA stuff anyways from the feds. So it would be a small amount if any at all. And there would be court litigation on that. And they said that could take anywhere up to 2 or 3 years. So any of these things shouldn't be a sudden just cut off. If that makes us feel at all better. But that's the message we're getting right now. I went to the Capital Area Technical Center meeting. I go to those once a month on April 29th. Teacher Appreciation Week was May 5th through the 9th, and May 6th was Teacher Appreciation Day. And I got into all the schools, and I know that the board of the schools did a nice job recognizing the staff here. So, and we appreciate obviously all the teachers that we have. There is I went to a superintendent's seminar from Drummond Woodsum. It was free.
Woohoo.
So you got to take advantage of any of those that we can get. And it was in Freeport, which was really convenient for me. But that was on May 9th. That was the last Friday, I believe. They give you, it's a rapid fire sharing of information around identified topics. So there were about 10 different topics. Each attorney from Drummond Woodsum, a different one, spoke to different topics based on what their specialty or expertise is. So it was a rapid fire, but it does give me a chance to, at lunch, one of the attorneys that we work pretty closely with, had lunch with us, and that's a good opportunity to pick their brain for free. So I participated in that. Let's see. And I had a Bath Tech meeting for our students that go to Lincoln Academy that participate in tech down at Bath. I had a meeting there today as well. So I'm really pushing the tech programs, trying to get kids interested in the tech programs, both Capital Area Tech and Bath. We have 2 very good tech areas to send our kids to. So both Bath and Capital Area. They're talking about doing some satellite programs to maybe get more interest in younger high school students out and about. I know Booth Bay's talking about doing something. We talked today about could we transport, and then we get into transportation costs. So that's something that we'd have to look at. But could we send freshmen or sophomores or freshmen down to a satellite program? I will say satellite programs are nice. When I was up in 58, we had a middle school satellite program that came out to our schools from Foster Tech up in Farmington. And it really sparks an interest in those kids. And I'll tell you, there's demand in those positions, and there's a lot of money to be made in those positions. So, and we had one of the juniors, I think it was a junior from Bath Tech, came and spoke, and just the enthusiasm that he got and shared with it. I think it's just a great opportunity for kids. So I want to try to make as many of our students aware of this as often as we can.
Do we have at least one student that I know of?
You have at least one up
Mid-coast.
Midcoast?
Mid-coast.
Could be.
Over
Yeah.
in Walterboro.
Yeah. The question about, that came up today too, is why would they go there? Because the kids at Lincoln obviously get transported to Bath. The reason and Bath is the hub that would capture kids at Lincoln, and Capital Area Tech would be the one that would capture kids that go to Erskine Academy. But if those programs don't offer something, and there is another offering elsewhere, and that's the case with the Midcoast one, they offer something that the Capital Area or Bath doesn't offer, then a student can go to a tech center outside of our.
If they go to Madomic, that's where they
And
would
if they go to Madomic,
Yeah.
that's where they go anyways.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we got
cool.
3 tech areas. I haven't had the opportunity to visit that one, but
Cool.
that's it.
All right, Janet, your principal's report.
Sure. A little bit more up to detail with a report down below from school counselor regarding the Lincoln Academy job fair. I'll get to that. We 5th grade is really involved with Lincoln County TV. We've been having Larry Seilinger and Haven Simons are coming in, and students are learning how to set up the equipment. We saw it happening down in South Bristol, and they come in and And Danielle Glynn's like, that camera's like $3,000, but they're learning how to set up the equipment, film, write interviewing questions, interview people, directing, making camera adjustments, and we're gonna have a JVS Chargers newscast coming out pretty soon. So it's been a great opportunity for them to learn the typical communication, oral communication, writing communication, but in a different, really engaging way. So that's been a fun new thing. We had our kindergarten screening on April 28th and 29th, and I believe our enrollment for right now is at 20. We also have our baseball and softball teams off to a great start, and Kathy Peabody, our athletic coordinator, is giving us the updates as of when I submitted the report. So you can see that softball team has been undefeated. I don't know if that has continued. I hear they're quite the team, and the baseball team is doing well as well. And we have a huge track team again, and lots of kids have already qualified for the states, which I believe is going to be at Coney on the 3rd.
Oh.
Because I think their championship meet. And kids already set their PR right after their first meeting, so that was fun. Amanda Flagg has set up Bikes for Books for our K-4 kids, and that is sponsored by the Masons of the Riverside Lodge 135. So thank you again to the Masons. I think it's a really great program. And one girl, one boy from each grade in kindergarten through fourth can have the opportunity to win a free bike, and the PTA has also purchased helmets for those winners. So that's kind of a fun thing, engaging way for them to get motivated to read through the rest of the year. So that's really helpful. I also talked about Welcome to May. It is assessment month. Kids are taking a lot of their main MEA assessments. So kids in kindergarten through second grade are taking their reading and math assessments. And those are the ones I shared with earlier in the year with the data reports. And you can see how our students doing in Jefferson and also across the state. And students in grades 3 to 8 are taking the main through year. The new year that you think about with the younger kids is adaptive. So it changes according to how the students are doing. So if they're doing really successful, it kind of bumps them up to harder and harder work. But the through-year assessment looks from their progress from fall to spring, and it's based on standards and it's grade level specific. So if you are a fourth grader, you're taking fourth grade content material. You don't really have the opportunity to bump up higher or lower. So I can get into more of that if you had some questions down the road, but those are just some of the assessments students are taking. It's also required that they take the science assessment in grades 5 and 8, so they would be doing that. And then teachers are also doing a lot of our district assessments or our local assessments, where they're looking at students' level in phonemic awareness, phonics, word study, meaning spelling, and also reading in general, and their math assessments. So this month is a lot of work to really look at multiple data points of how our students did this year and what do we know about them. We also use this data to look at our curriculum to see, are we doing really well in here? Do we have areas we need to make some adjustments in our curriculum and instruction? So it's really important information that we're going to be gathering this last month. You guys are here. Does anybody want to throw anything in, Barb or Heather, that we haven't mentioned?
I know, we started the MEA science today,
Yeah.
5 and 8. Seems to go well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a shorter one, so they feel
Yes.
like, whew,
Yeah.
whereas some of the other
One
tests.
down, lots
Yeah, I
to
know, lots to go. But important information for us and as far as looking at the effectiveness of our curriculum and also in planning and instructional purposes. Like I mentioned, Ms. O'Donnell, our school counselor, spent a lot of time with 8th graders looking at exploring their interests, values, strengths, skills, and abilities and future goals. They did work and took trips to the different career and technical programs that Todd was mentioning, Bath Tech, Mid-Coast, Capital Area. And they went to job fair. And at the end of all this, you can see that students got a job when they went to the job fair. So that was kind of exciting. They went through the application process and were hired. That was a lot of work done by her. I wanted to mention that we are continuing to advertise. We've done continue to do on serving schools, but we've also added the KJ, the print version, and Indeed, the free version. Indeed, it's pretty pricey, but we're trying. So far, we haven't any hits, but we put on for ed techs, custodian, bus driver. Those are the ones on Indeed. So we'll see what comes of that. That's my report.
Thanks, Janet.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for Janet?
Pretty good.
Okay. Old business. We met back at the end of April and we adopted our budget and we're gonna formally adopt it tonight. If I can get a motion
So
to,
moved.
all in favor? Thank you. And then navigating school policy in 2025.
Yep, that's Drummond with some virtual training or webinar that we've signed up for. But I'm offering to any board members who would like to come
Do
and
you want to speak?
you can just,
I'll be there.
you can just show up. Okay,
Okay.
thanks. It's May 20th, 9 to 11. It'll be in the conference room at the central office. We'll just be projecting it on the big screen. And if anybody has any questions about policy, as they're constantly changing. So, and we do have policies, I've shared this with you before, that we're going to have to review. The essential ones, the ones that you have to have, were done by Lindsay prior to this year. But there are other policies that we're going to have to go through eventually and just maybe just a matter of rereading them and saying, yes, they're still good to go. But at some point, we'll have to carve out some time to do that. But yeah, that training is open to any board member who would like to participate.
Thank you.
Sure.
New business, we have our annual election of officers for the board.
I'll nominate Danielle for board chair.
I'll second it.
She's done a great job this year. Her learning curve is now shortened and she'll be more efficient next year for sure.
Thanks.
No pressure.
All in favor? And I'm gonna
You
abstain.
abstain? Okay.
Do we have a motion to nominate a vice chair?
I'll nominate Andy for that since he did a fine job last year.
I'm gonna second it. All in favor? It's 4.
Yeah.
Are you
Oh, he's
opposed?
abstaining,
I'm
or-
abstaining.
I'm abstaining.
Who made the motion? Wayne did, right?
I did.
And you seconded it, right?
Any nominations for facilities committee?
I'll volunteer for that
I'll second that.
since I'm already doing it.
All in favor? Any nominations, volunteers for policy committee?
I'll volunteer for that.
Fantastic, I'll second that. All in favor? And do we have a volunteer or a nomination for the AOS representative?
I'll continue to do that if you like.
All in favor?
Are you catching all these?
I think
They're
so.
going too fast for me.
I think I do.
I went to
We'll help
initials
you
just
out.
to try to keep up.
And then do we have a volunteer or nomination for the MSBA delegate
That's
representative?
new. We never had one of those, did we?
No.
There's a delegate meeting. It's not bad for board members to participate in that and hear what's being talked about and suggestions that you make. Not a lot. It's not something you have to do,
Is
but
that the
it's
one in the fall?
in Augusta,
Is
Oh,
it,
yeah, I've
so
done
how
that for
often?
free.
once a year.
Okay. I'll hold.
It's usually the day before the fall conference that the school board members go to sometimes to the fall.
Okay, wait a minute, let me think about that.
You can't take back, I second that. Just kidding.
Well, you said in the fall.
Yes.
We don't pay that.
Yeah, well, my job from October 15th through December 7th, I don't really get.
If you said yes and then you had a conflict, someone else could go.
I can talk to my boss.
Yeah, this is just kind of a
That's the time of year
formality.
No one takes time off.
Is it September?
I
I
think,
am
it seems like.
Let me see if I can find out.
If it's in, yeah, if it's before October 15th.
Let me see what I can find out.
Seemed like I did
We
this
can leave-
one year and
We
they
can
had
leave
their
the
meeting
member.
on a Saturday virtual, but maybe it was just
Maybe
during
during pandemic.
2020.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
I've done virtual ones.
I'll second Maria's
Saturday.
volunteerism.
Let me see if I can find out what it is.
If you can't make it, Maria, that's fine.
Yeah.
All in favor of Maria trying anyway?
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
for that.
Seconded?
I did, I don't
Oh.
remember.
I
You
volunteered.
don't.
I
I'll just
tried.
put that in here. No, I'm just kidding.
The MSBA Delegate Assembly, hopefully this is 2025 is October 18th from 9:30 to 2 o'clock.
It's a Saturday.
18th?
Yep.
Oh,
It is a Saturday.
Saturdays are
Yeah.
fine.
It's a Saturday.
Okay, that's fine. I knew that.
Cool.
So it was the business meeting I was thinking of, not the delegate assembly. So, um,
All right, and then we have, in your packet and in the drive was the 25-26 school calendar that we need to look at and approve tonight. And I believe this calendar includes 3 additional, compared to this year, 3 additional professional days.
3 or 2?
2?
2.
Is it 2?
Yep. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yep.
Obviously, one of the and I know we're in AOS, and I know we're these individual entities, but one of the things I've been really trying to do is streamline things with EOS and get our buildings, our administrators to work more closely together and try to align things, not taking away any of the individuality of the schools, but I just think there's some benefits from that. A prime example, Janet mentioned earlier, was the administrators all went down. We had one of our AT meetings down at South Bristol, and they got to see the South Bristol kids doing the setup and the filming of that cable work. And it's made its way to Jefferson, which I think is awesome. So one of my goals was to try to align our calendars, because we had as many as 3 different versions of the calendar last year or this year. The association in their CBA had negotiated with you to have 2 fewer workshop days and 2 additional student days. And I don't want to misspeak, but they were trying to weigh the value of the professional development opportunities that were being presented versus the student learning process, if you will. We had one, again, we aligned a workshop day, and the feedback was very, very positive, and teachers found it to be very beneficial. And I've tried to promise them that we will continue to provide professional development of that nature moving forward. So they would like to participate in the same amount of workshop days as everyone else. So our calendar, as you see now, AOS 93 has 1 calendar for our 4 schools. Some of the things that may jump out to you on that, obviously we start before the holiday weekend in August, September, but Christmas break, winter break, if you look at it, it falls on a Wednesday. So we'd be looking at a day on a Monday and a half day on a Tuesday. And then we come back and it'd be a day on a Friday. Those are unproductive instructional days. So you do see that we have 2 full weeks off it. Not any fault of the teachers. The learning mindset may not be at its optimal capacity. So we do have two full weeks off at the winter break. This happens like once every 7 years or something, where it falls that particular way. But you still see, we still do get out on that at a reasonable time, the 12th. I think it's the 12th. Yep. So I support and I thank the association for their willingness to try this next year. And I know one of the individuals they're going to be working with, I mentioned Judy Sanders before, they're going to be working with her. And I know that they enjoy working with her. So I think that's another reason that time will be beneficial to us next year. That being said, I will ask the chair of the board to empower me, I guess, to sign an MOA, memorandum of understanding with the association, that this will cover that year because it's in their CBA. So you're going away from CBA language. You don't want to reopen it. You don't want to open up your contract and negotiate this. So a memorandum of understanding will just say, yep, we can make that adjustment to the calendar for next year. Memorandum only lasts for 1 year. If it works well and they like it, we may come back and do it again up until when you renegotiate your contract, and then it may or may not be taken out.
Yep.
So
Sounds good to me.
I think the calendar looks great.
Thank you.
And I love the idea of 2 separate business.
Don't get used to it.
So you need a motion on the calendar?
Yes, please.
So wait,
moved.
before we motion and move, in November in the past, we've had that day off for voting.
The second Tuesday, yeah. I
It's the
think
first Tuesday, because Veterans Day is
What
the
did
second
we talked
Tuesday
about
this
that?
year.
What did we say?
the voting's always the second Tuesday.
Yep.
Isn't it?
Second Tuesday, it says
Year-round
schools.
employees.
That's for Veterans Day?
June 19th still a holiday.
Yes. It's a national holiday.
And I believe it's posted on.
Oh, it's not on the calendar. Okay, we can check that.
Is it the first Tuesday in November?
I think it
Tuesday of
is.
The election?
Oh,
I-
the
Well, I
fourth.
think it is this year, because
Yeah.
Veterans Day is the next week.
Can we talk about that?
Can we? You can talk, Heather. What is your question?
Sure. I'm not a resident either, so.
It's all right.
Originally, when the board decided that, they said presidential elections.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's what I thought.
They ask us every time, so I just wanted to throw that out there, that we get asked every
'Cause
election.
this one's just, it's gonna be for governor, right?
so, right?
I know
Yeah,
we talked about that. We didn't think that was going to be a conflict this
Well,
year.
Or not this year.
Whichever, if it's the first
26.
Tuesday,
It's 26,
Right,
it's better.
but the original vote,
Yeah.
Was for that presidential
For
election, and then
presidential.
going forward, they could certainly ask.
I-
Correct.
yeah, but I think even if we're gonna have a gubernatorial election, we're gonna want to,
Yeah, but isn't the gubernatorial in the 2026? It's not 25.
right, we'll still be in
Right.
at the beginning of this.
right. Right, it's not gonna be this November. I was thinking we were trying to keep it that first Tuesday, just to be consistent every year. You see what I mean? So we didn't know if it was this year, was out, next year it's off, but
If you look at what we did, just so you'll know why it's the way it is, we created 4-day weekends around holidays that fell on Tuesdays.
Correct.
So that kids, more out of convenience for families, rather than have a
Mhm.
student come in one day, then be out and then come back. So that's
Yeah.
why we
Yep.
aligned it that way. I mean, certainly we can adjust the calendar if we have to in any specific situation as we move forward.
Why can't they use the fire
Mhm.
department? Like they have.
You'd have to ask them.
Who's
There
there?
was, you'd have to ask the town office, but the fire department was not allowing
Voting?
voting anymore. That's why they came to us.
Really?
This is,
Oh,
geez.
oh, town politics.
But if we're not looking at a big
How about the
election,
Willow Green?
they should be able to work something out.
well, then it comes to mind, when is the June primary? Do we know when the June primary is?
Because the governor's the 3rd of November 26th, but the June primary.
Because the town's been using the school April vacation to do the.
We get out
town,
early this year,
And we
anyway.
used, usually school's out when we use the gym for voting on the school budget in June, which we usually try to piggyback off a primary vote. Which next June, we will be able to, but
You looking too far? You're looking,
I think
Janet?
Janet's looking.
June 10th, 2020. No, that's this one. June 10th, 2025. AI is not working for me.
June
So
2026.
Tuesday, it will be, Maine's state primary elections are typically held on the second Tuesday of June,
Be the ninth.
even numbered years.
So-
Therefore, the next state primary will be in June 2026.
And then the
Nine.
election for November of 26.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's what AI is telling me right now.
So right before school gets out. Well, I mean, isn't it the
Town's
town
problem.
office's problem to figure out, not ours?
In theory.
well, it
theory.
is, but we also
That's
vote on the
in theory.
school budget.
Right.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, they have to do the primary. The school budget, we can postpone till after school is out, but the primary has to be June 9th
Okay.
somewhere. So,
Anyway.
In theory. Or if we have
Could
to
do a
move
remote day.
yeah, I think we leave this calendar the way it is.
The way it
and
is.
cross that
And
bridge
Indira,
when we
that,
get to
okay.
it.
Okay.
You
I
can do
just
that.
wanted to,
No, I appreciate you pointing those things out.
all right,
See, there used to be an issue with Bristol as well, but now with their new cafeteria, Bristol's going to be able to keep they're going to be able to do both at the
Yeah.
same time.
we just don't have a way to do
Yep.
that, do we, John?
Do we have a way to do that?
I know.
Yeah.
Can't lock the doors to the, and then just let them come in and
To provide a restroom.
Now you get across the hallways and
out? Yeah.
Yeah, better to be safe.
And I
Oh,
think you
yeah.
also, I think your
But we'll-
election space is also.
we'll be
gonna provide a
creative.
restroom.
Oh, good grief.
We'll get creative.
Yeah. That's fine.
So, can I
Yep.
I'll move the 25, 26 school calendar?
Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Thank you, guys. I don't know what this next one is.
It's just the title, first read of your policies, so people just need to go and read those. Oh,
Educational contract.
Oh, that's me.
agreements. That's
Sorry.
you.
I skipped over that one. This is just informational for the board, because a lot of, as you're aware, a lot of your board policies have contracted services come before the board if there are significant, if they're beyond a certain amount of money. We've had to jump into a bunch of educational related. These aren't your plowing bids or your things of that nature. These are, we need educational services because, and not to trump and not in lieu of hiring. We're certainly
Mhm.
looking to hire positions. But we often have to make some quick decisions about providing contracted services. So this is just, I'm just informing the board, and you see it when you go sign, that we may have to continue to make those decisions at the central office level.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So we're going into executive session, is that what we're doing?
No.
It's
We are, but not for this.
Not right now.
Okay,
This is just informational.
okay.
We're on that education contract.
So just letting you see them. I mean, as I said, I know Wayne sees them when he goes and looks at the articles.
I guess the only thing that comes to mind is we try not to get into a contract with a special ed provider that if we hire
Yep.
staff, we're locked in for a year.
We're trying.
Type thing.
We're trying. And the problem that we're running into too is we're not the only district that's dealing with shortages. So they want to know earlier than they ever have before. So even though we're still trying to hire, we're getting pressure to sign some contracts. But they're also, like you said, they're very, very reluctant to give us any kind of language that says that if we hire someone, they'll be
Yeah,
done.
I
So
think-
we're pushing back and forth, and that'll be actually Dominic's charge to tackle.
I think a lot of districts might just overlook that.
Yep.
We just don't want to overlook it if we can.
Right.
That's all.
And my thought process too was, I think there's so much need throughout the district that if we did have someone contracted here and we would hire someone, I'm pretty confident that we could migrate them elsewhere and use them elsewhere to
Oh,
continue
I
using.
see. Yeah.
So I don't see the need going away that quickly. But that's just informing you that if in case you see these big, because we know contracted services are more expensive than a teacher. And in many ways, and in most ways, not taking away from contracted services, but there's something, a teacher interacting directly with a student is the most important thing, I think, so. But yes, try to get that language. That's it.
Thank you. Moving on to policy first read for the Title IX policies. Todd talked about this earlier, so I
Yeah.
don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time on it, but
No,
You got them electronically. If you can't find them, let me know and I'll make sure you get the
I
link
would
sent
like-
back to you.
to see the policy committee start meeting again.
South Bristol's actually doing that right now. And they're doing, I was thinking it after you spoke, South Bristol's actually going through and trying, I've got to see if their policies could be different than yours, but what they're doing is they're going through and to identify specifically what you asked for. If people ask, we want to be able to tell them this is what changed, this is what changed, this is what changed. So I'm hoping that their policy and yours are very similar, if not the same. And then once I have that answer, I should be able to provide you the answer to your question. So I know they're working on it. Before they're going to have it done before their next meeting, and their meeting is the last Tuesday of the month.
I will look for that old policy
Yeah.
because I have a binder with
Yep.
all the old
Mm.
If
policies.
you can find it, that'd be great.
And I will see if I can
Yep.
locate that.
I also think that the board should consider a second opinion, a legal second opinion, to hear the pros and cons.
Of
I don't know.
what?
Of a draft policy?
Yep.
Is there another organization that has a draft policy?
Not that I'm aware of.
I have heard of some resources.
Well, I think that's something the policy committee should
Hmm.
bring together all their materials and go through. That's what we used to do, especially something which is large and controversial or whatnot. You bring in all, that's why the policy, we sit down at a table and go through, this is what I've got, this is what they say, and then we can kind of pick and choose and make the policy that fits the best, or just
So
adopt it.
the policy committee, it used to be like the principal, the school board member, a teacher. I know Heather, you were on it. Are you interested in?
Yes.
Okay.
We should have at least one staff member. We used to have Sedge was on it as a
Yes.
community member.
I can reach
And I
out.
think there was two school board members on it, pretty sure.
As long as you don't have three, you're all set.
Right. And the superintendent was the chairperson who, because they knew what the laws were, so when you're having discussions, you could keep them within. But I suppose if something came up legal wise, you'd be reviewing it anyway and could just say, well, you gotta
I don't
reconsider this
mind.
part, but that's how it was set up in the past anyway.
my suggestion would be to not make it a separate night. I would if everybody could come in just earlier on school board meeting nights and meet for that half hour.
That's the way most committees work.
We never did that before, but.
I think it'd be easier.
Policy committee, you mean? Come
Yeah.
in half
Prior,
an
meet an
early.
hour or so.
Come in a
before.
half an hour earlier, an hour earlier
Yep.
Yeah.
prior to our meeting.
Does that work for Janet
Oh, yeah.
and Todd?
I'm,
I think
I'm,
that,
I'm already over here meeting with the association before
That's
these
what we
meetings,
did
so
with Lindsay
so
last
Heather
year.
will be here.
it's good for, actually, it's good for everybody that you've mentioned that's
Yep.
here.
Daryl, are you, if you haven't, you're not on a committee.
I'd love to be involved in
Cool.
something.
Nice.
Don't want you left out.
Thank you. I was gonna put my hand up if you was looking for a second.
There you
Yeah.
go.
We
You're
also
it.
had them in the drive, like once we met, and kind of
Mhm.
put the original or the current policy in ahead of time. Then after we had discussions or like edits or thoughts, we put those in, so
Right.
people could comment, like
Right.
other board members.
And we used to
other
highlight,
staff.
we used
Yeah.
to highlight
Yeah.
red.
And we are
things
gonna have
to
took out
review
in
all the
yellow or
policies at some
orange,
point.
whatever
Yeah.
things we
Or
added.
I
We
think
may
it
need to
should
take a
say
full
this,
day
and
in
then
the
we had
summer or something.
Right.
reading. It was really helpful to have
Right.
that.
Mhm. Cool. The only other thing that I want to mention, if you guys didn't notice this warrant articles, so we meet next Wednesday night at 6 in the cafeteria is when that vote is.
I saw that today.
Wednesday night?
Wednesday, the 21st, right?
Yes.
I won't be there.
It's in the
Miss
gym,
Walker.
not after, that's all. Because it could be a significant amount of people.
It could be.
May not
Could
be
not be.
anybody, who knows?
It's hard to say.
600, right?
Oh, jeez. No, you didn't. It could be 6 or it could be 600.
Boy. So just in case you guys didn't notice that and you didn't know, I wanted to point that out. And then we're going to enter into executive session. We don't have any motions. There won't be any action taken after. So you guys are welcome to take off. But it is 6:43. Enter into 1 MSRA